Hello students, today we have to start with the consumer's equilibrium. That means how the consumer optimize its trade-off in order to maximize its satisfactions. In the previous class, we covered the term what is budget constraint and after that what is indifference curve. In budget constraint or the budget line, we know the terms how consumer utilizes his given money income in such a direction so as to spend all the money on both the commodities. If we consume less than its given money income, that reflect that he is inside the budget constraint or it will be inside the budget line. If he spends more than the given money income, which is not possible. If it is so, then it is the outside the that particular productions frontier or it is called the consumption frontier, what is called the budget constraint, right. If the consumer consume on that particular line, that reflect the consumer spend all his money income on both the commodities, right. Whereas the indifference curve, it tells us it is a locus of points. It consists of the different bundle of commodities. प्रति पॉइंट इंडिफरेंस कर्व रे हमें कौन देखुचे ना विभिन्न कॉम्बिनेशन रो दीटा कमोडिटीज अछंती बट ईच एंड एवरी कॉम्बिनेशंस प्रोवाइड द कंज्यूमर इक्वल अमाउंट ऑफ सैटिस्फैक्शंस से जे कोनसी पॉइंट रे किनु इंडिफरेंस गोटे इंडिफरेंस कर्व ऊपर प्रति पॉइंट रे कंज्यूमर कोन करछि समान सैटिस्फैक्शंस पाउछि. If we try to move to the upper indifference curve, that reflect that the upper indifference curve, I mean higher indifference curve provide more satisfaction than the lower indifference curve. So, सेतिपई कंज्यूमर सबले चाहिबो मु उपरको जिबे higher indifference curve को गति करिवे. But the point is that the budget line is constant. That means the constraint is that he can't spend more than his money income, right. So, consumer's equilibrium, what we have to start today, consumer's equilibrium and this particular equilibrium means it is a point where the consumer obtain maximum amount of satisfaction, means optimizing his goal. कारण money income दिया है, preferences are there. Consumers the preference unlimited, na? He always try to move to the higher indifference curve because his intention is to be gather more and more amount of satisfactions. जेतो से अधिक satisfaction चाहूँची से चाहिए कौन मो higher indifference curve को गति करिवे. But that reflected that is called the indifference map. But the point is that you can move there because you have the constraint where the prices are given and money income is the most important constraint to it. So, you can reach the higher indifference curve. Now, where the consumers obtain the optimization is goal. In order to reaching that particular point, we have to satisfy the two most important conditions of equilibrium. What are the conditions of equilibrium? Conditions of equilibrium. Now, there are the two conditions are there. First condition tells us that the slope of indifference curve must be equals to slope of budget constraint or price line. Slope of indifference curve means marginal rate of substitutions x per y and slope of price line means nothing but the price of x upon price of y. I will show you how this slopes to be takes place. It is already explained in the previous class, still then I have to be explained right today also be how to calculate the slope of indifference curve and how to calculate the slope of price line. So, the first conditions of the consumer's optimization of its goal is that the slope of indifference curve must be equal to the slope of price line. What it reflects, that is the indifference curve must tangent the price line. Budget line or the budget constraint को indifference curve टा tangent करिथिबो, just touch करिथिबो. That particular point रे slope of indifference curve equals to the slope of price line. And what is the second conditions of the equilibrium? Now, at the point of the tangency, at the point of tangency, क्या भितर tangency हम ना indifference का price line भितर और budget line भितर. At the point of the tangency, the indifference curve must convex to origin, convex to origin. That means the marginal rate of substitution x per y must be diminishing. It should be diminishing marginal rate of substitutions x per y. So, when these two conditions are to be satisfied, then the consumer is obtain its equilibrium, what provide the optimization its goal. So, two things are required. हमको दीटा जिनस दरकार गोटे ला इंडिफरेंस कर्व आ गोटे ला प्राइस लाइन. सो दीटा टर्म्स आनी सारा परे हम इक्विलिब्रियम को जीवा. We already know what is the price line. Price line or the budget line or the budget constraint that tells us how the consumer utilizes his given money income with given price of the commodities. That means money income is given, money income and price of both the commodities, price of x and price of y. Let us say we take into account price of x is fixed and the that is called the product x is fixed and product y is to be, we take into account mango, right, and price of fish is to be, let us say the 10 rupees and price of mango is to be 2 rupees per fish, and the given money income, let imagine the consumer has money income as, let us say we are to reducing it to the 100 rupees only. Consumer पाखे केते टंका अछि ना 100 टंका अछि. If the consumer spend all his money income on good X, that is called the fish, then the consumer is able to consume a constant amount that is called the 100 upon 10, that is the 10 units of fish is going to be consumed. This is your fish and this side is your mango, right. So, that means when he spend all his money income on good X, he is able to consume the 10 units of good X. That means price of X, that is the price of fish अछि केते ना 10 टंका अछि. आमे केतेरा माछ किनि परिबा. Now we are able to purchase the 10 unit of fish. Now how it is possible? Because we have 100 rupees, 100 rupees divided by 10, it turns to be the 10. So the max to max we are able to consume the 10 units of fish. Similarly, if we spend all his money income on mango, then how much mango we are able to purchase? Now again 100 divided by 2. So 100 divided by 2 means is the 50. Let us say the max to max we are able to purchase the 50 units of mango. Now when we join these 2 points, we find a particular straight line that is called the price line or the budget line. ये जो लाइन टाइम टाणुचे एटा कहा जाए प्राइस लाइन और बजेट लाइन, दैट्स कॉल्ड द बजेट कंस्ट्रेंट आल्सो. एंड द कंज्यूमर इज एबल टू कंज्यूम एनीवेयर ऑन द प्राइस लाइन. जेतेबेले 100 रुपीज स्पेंड करिवो दैट मीन्स जे कोनसी पॉइंट से परचेस करिवो एनी पॉइंट एंड दैट रिफ्लेक्ट द कंज्यूमर स्पेंड ऑल हिज मनी इनकम. जदि आमे नबा बाहरे इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल because it beyond its control, that is the beyond its given money income. If a purchase inside in it, that reflect that the entire money income not going to be spent. So he is able to spend the entire money income with the given prices of the commodities on this particular price line or the budget line. Then what will be the slope of the price line? Now we already know the slope of the price line. The slope of price line is nothing but price of x upon price of y. That means the price of x means 10, price of y means 2, that is your 5. So the slope of the price line is to be 5. That reflect that if we consume one more unit of fish, we have to sacrifice 5 units of mango. आमे जदि अधिक fish आमे किनि चलिबा, we have to sacrifice the mango because it is आमर मनी इनकम टा गिवन दिया है. आम मनी इनकम टा कन्स्टेंट. आम जदि गोटे कन्सेप्ट लेट फॉर एग्जांपल आम परचेस करुचे एई पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट रे, दैट मीन्स 0 अमाउंट ऑफ द फिश एंड 50 यूनिट्स ऑफ मैंगो. इफ यू ट्राई टू परचेस लेट्स से 2 यूनिट्स ऑफ योर फिश, मुझे दीटा फिश आम परचेस करी तो दीटा फिश मीन्स हाउ मच रुपीज यू हैव टू स्पेंड means 20 rupees are going to be spent. The 20 rupees on fish, then how much you are able to spend on the mango? Mango never turns to be 50 because 100 less 20 that 80, 80 divided by 2 means it is 40. So 40 units of mango we are able to purchase. That means आमे जदि दीटा fish किनिबा ताले definitely आमे 40 टा mango consume करिबा and so on. So that means if we are able to purchase on this particular price line, no problem about it. That means each and every point it provide the 100 rupees of money income going to be spent on it. And we already saw the equation in the previous class that equals to m equals to xpx plus ypy, right. This is the equation of the budget line or the equation of the price line. And if you take into account the how much unit of y are you going to be consumed, that means 0 unit of x, if the 0 unit of x, m divided by py. So this is the m upon py. Similarly, if you purchase 0 unit of y, this part vanishes, then x kete habo na m divided by px. So it is m upon px. Amar jitale slope bhag kariya na tan of this particular angle, and we already know the tan of this theta, the tan of this particular angle means nothing but OP divided by OL, that means P by B. तमे जो पढ़ी छ हमारा right angle triangle, okay, trigonometric component रे हमें tan of this angle can calculate करिबा ना P by B, that is the perpendicular divided by base, and perpendicular is the OP, base is the OL, perpendicular divided by base means m upon py divided by m upon px. তাহলে mm cancel it out, केते बाहरिबो ना px upon py. So the slope of the price line is nothing but the price ratio. Okay, so आमे को जानिया पड़ला कोना, this is the slope of the price line. हमें slope of the price line को consider करिबा. Now move to the second part of it, that is called the slope of indifference curve. And slope of indifference curve represented by marginal rate of substitutions x for y. I will show you that one. The second side is to be the slope of indifference curve. The slope of indifference curve represented by the marginal rate of substitutions. Let us say we trace the indifference curve. On this axis we take into account the fish, on this axis we take into account the mango, right, and we are considering a particular indifference curve, let us say IC1, indifference curve 1. हमें जे कौन से point हमें लिया, let us say this is the point, let us say point A, we take into account this particular combinations, or we can take into account this particular combinations, equal increment of x, mark it, हमें x को बढ़ाऊचे गोटे constant amount रे, okay, x टा जो बढ़ुची, let us say B, C, D and E, हमें it is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. If you take into account this side is to be here, 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 here and here, right. So here is to be, let us say assuming it, here is to be let us say 50, we take into account let us say it to be 30, here is to be 40, here is to be 30 for 35, sorry, is to be this is called the 20 reduces and 10 reduces means this is the 20, and we take into account this is 15, okay, and this is equals to let us say it is 5 means let us say we take that 2. So what we find it here? In this case, if you are consuming more and more unit of good x, the good y must going to be sacrificed. Initially, आमे जेतले A point रे किणुथिले, let us say we have to preparing the table for here. The A रे आमे जेतले purchase करूथिले, आमे केते x किणुथिले, x गोटे किणुथिले, fish गोटे किणुथिले and 50 mango किणुथिले. It provide us the amount of satisfaction, जहाँ भी satisfaction हमें पाउचे. That to be the same thing at the point B, that means 2 unit of x, that is called the fish, and 30 unit of mango. It provide also the same unit of satisfactions. At the point C, we can purchase the 3 unit of mango, or it will be let us say 20 units of your that is called the 3 unit of fish and 20 unit of mango also we provide the same amount of satisfaction. At the point D and E, it is the 2 and 1, sorry, it is the 2 and this is called the 3 and 4, 5, right. So at the point D, we purchase the 4 unit of fish and the 15 units of your mango, and here it will be at the point E 5 unit of fish and 2 unit of mango. Mark it, the how much you have to sacrifice? Initially is nothing is there, first we have to sacrifice the 20, next we have to sacrifice the 10, next we have to sacrifice the 5, next we have to sacrifice the 3. So what you find? It is diminishing, डिमिनिशिंग मार्जिनल रेट ऑफ सब्स्टिट्यूशन एक्स पर वाई आम जो प्रथम जो साटिस्फैक्शन पाई एट द पॉइंट ए रे आम जो बी पॉइंट को आम मुव करुचे आमर एक्स कंजप्शन बढ़ी जाऊँगी फिश कंजप्शन आम इनक्रीज कले बट दैट ऑफ मैंगो आम रिड्यूस करुचे तो केते सैक्रिफाइस कले ना आम गोटे फिश जो किणुचे आम 20टा मैंगो को सैक्रिफाइस करचे जी सैक्रिफाइस करते फर्स्ट टाइम रे आम सेकेंड जो आम कर एडिशनल फिश आम कंज्यूम कर बर्तमान जो सैक्रिफाइस कर दैट टू बी लेस देन द प्रीवियस वन. So that reflect the diminishing marginal rate of substitution x per y, which is nothing but the slope of the indifference curve. So what do you find? The slope of indifference curve must be equal to the slope of the price line. If this condition to be satisfied, we are able to obtain the consumer's equilibrium. What the second point? The second point tells us at the point of the tangency, आम जो पॉइंट टेंजेंसी करिबा सेठी इंडिफरेंस टा कोन होइतबा ना कन्वेक्स होइतबा दैट मीन्स ऑलवेज वी नो द प्रॉपर्टीज ऑफ इंडिफरेंस कर्व इट इज ऑलवेज डाउनवर्ड स्लोपिंग इट इज ऑलवेज कन्वेक्स टू द origin never it will intersect each other higher indifference curve provide the higher amount of satisfaction so the property tells us the indifference curve must be convex जदि convex न होइतबा प्राइस लाइन को कि बजेट लाइन को टेंजेंट कला that does not provide the consumer the best satisfaction or optimizing its goal. It is not so. So point tangent heithibo indifference curve ta price line ko tangent karithibo side by side at the point of the tangency it should be convex to the origin. Then the consumer is able to optimizing its goal. Okay. Now we have to move to how the consumers obtain its equilibrium. I will to show you with the help of the figure and how the condition is to be satisfied. If not, then what happen? Let us say what are the given things? Now given things is the given money income. I have to be erasing all the part, then we have to start. So what are the given? Now given concept is that IC map. IC map means the preference. Consumers preference are given. That is given. First bit. Second, money income. Money income of the consumer it is given at constant, it is fixed, right? Third, price of both the commodities, or goods, right? आमे ताले कौन कौन दिया जाइए ना मनी इनकम दिया जाइए अच्छे, price of both the commodities दिया जाइए, consumer preference are given. So ये तीनटा जिनिस को मार्क करो. जदि लास्ट दुईटा जिनिस कौन होची ना मनी इनकम एंड प्राइस ऑफ द कमोडिटीज मनी इनकम और प्राइस कमोडिटी देइथिले हमको प्राइस लाइन टा दिया ही जाइए एंड प्रेफरेंसेस आर गिवन मींस इंडिफरेंस मैप्स इज गिवन indifference map is given. Okay. Now considering these two terms enter into here. आमे x axis रे नौचे fish आमे y axis रे नले mango, right? If the money income and the price of the commodities are given, then we are able to trace the budget line or the price line, that is called the PL, let us say, right. So why it is so, let us say we have to assuming the same thing, money income is to be 100 rupees and the price of both the commodities, let us say the price of X is to be 10 rupees and price of Y is to be 2 rupees, right, that is the price of fish and price of mango. Mango is 2 rupees per piece, price of fish per piece is to be 10 rupees. If we spend all the money income, we are able to consume the 10 units of fish, that is this particular point OL. Similarly, if we spend all the money income on mango, we are able to purchase the 50 units of mango. This is to be max to max, we have the 50 units of mango, this to this max to max we have to purchase the 10 unit of fish, right. So the given price line or the budget line is given. Now first point, what it tells us, the preferences are given. Preferences means indifference map is given. Indifference map, right now we have to trace the indifference map. Let us say here is one indifference curve, here is another indifference curve and here is the another indifference curve. Let us say I have to trace the three indifferences curves are there. And which particular indifference curve provide more satisfaction? Obviously third indifference curve provide more satisfaction as compared to the second and first. Yes or no? Because the third one is the higher indifference curve as compared to the IC2 and IC1. So which lie on the upper side that provide the higher satisfaction, because higher indifference curve, one of the property tells us higher indifference curve provide the higher amount of satisfactions. आमे जदि purchase करिबा, let's say for example, we have to take into account any point, we are able to purchase at the point E1, no problem about it, we can purchasing it, करि परिबा कि नै? It is so, yes, because that is on the price line, आमे price line ऊपर जे कोनोसी point रे किनि परिबा. But while you purchase the point E1, that will lie on the lower indifference curve, that provide the less satisfaction. If you move to the point, let us say the E2, it also provide the less amount of satisfaction because it is lie on the lower indifference curve. If you purchase anything here, no, it does not provide, it provides the same satisfaction as E1 and E2, which is lie on the line, but at this point you got the same satisfaction, but you are unable to spend the entire money income. तम पाखे जहाँ money income अच्छी तो spend करो ना, कहेंगे ना at this particular point, which this point lie below the price line, below the constraint, जेहेतु below the budget constraint रे तले अच्छी, सेटा reflect कौन करूँची ना हमें हमरो entire money income को हमें spend करूँने. So हमें ऊपर को जीवा, we have to on the price line. Okay, let us say move to the point E3. Is it possible? Obviously at the point E3 it provides the better satisfaction as compared to the E1 and E2, but it is not possible for us, because why? Because our budget line is fixed, price line is fixed, that is the PL, it is fixed. As the price line is fixed, we can't move to the terms E3. So आमे E3 पाखु जाई परिबानी. Then what to do? We have to move along the price line. आमे price line ऊपर movement करिबा. While you move to the price line, mark the point, let us say E4. At the point E4, it provide the more satisfaction than as compared to the E1 and E2. Why it is so? Because it lie on the upper indifference curve. IC2 is provide the better satisfaction than the IC1, but we can obviously E3 provide more satisfaction than the E4, which it will lie on the further higher indifference curve. But आमे एटी किनी परिबा नहीं, कहीं कि ना हमार प्राइस लाइन फिक्स अच्छे, प्राइस लाइन तले रही अच्छी, प्राइस लाइन से पर्टिकुलर जाई परिबा नहीं, इट इज बियॉन्ड आवर प्राइस लाइन, दैट मीन्स बियॉन्ड आवर इनकम. हम जो इनकम जो दिया है आउ प्राइस ऑफ द बोथ द कमोडिटी दिया है आमे ताको क्रॉस करि जाउछे, इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल फॉर अस टू परचेस देयर. सो वी हैव टू बाउंड टू परचेस ऑन द प्राइस लाइन PL. सो आमे जते EL रे परचेस करिबा, आमे E1 रे किनी परिबा, E4 रे किनी परिबा, E3 रे किनी परिबा. But as compared to the E1 and E2, both lie on the lower indifference curve. So at the point E4, it provides the more satisfaction. It is अधिक satisfaction दोचे, कहीं कि ना it is the higher indifference curve दोचे. Alongside of it, where the two conditions must be satisfied at the point E4, that the dual condition to be satisfied. The first one, the slope of price line, that is the marginal rate of slope of indifference curve, that is the marginal rate of substitution x per y, must be equals to price of x upon price of y. Means indifference curve price line को tangent करिबो. So indifference curve IC2 टा price line PL को tangent करूँ से point रे. So while the consumer consuming, let's say OX1 of fix and OXY1 of mango, he provide the consumer the better satisfaction. So a particular point रे कहीं अधिक satisfaction दोचे, because here the first order condition satisfied, alongside of it the second order condition, that is called the at the point of the tangency, at the point of tangency IC is convex, that is the diminishing marginal rate of substitution x per y. At the point of tangency, indifference curve convex to the origin. जेटा कन्वेक्स टू द ऑरिजिन होची ताले कोन होची ना जेतले से कंज्यूम करूची OX1 of good x, that is called the fish, and OY1 of your mango, that provide the maximum amount of satisfaction, right? So the consumer obtain the maximum satisfaction when both the conditions are be satisfied. If any one of the condition is not satisfied, that does not provide the consumer the better satisfaction. I will show you one exceptional concept of it. Let us say the indifference curve tangent to the price line. Here is your mango, here is a fish, and this is your price line, no doubt, PL, and the indifference curve, I trace the indifference curve like this. let us say here is to be tangent like this manner, here is the point of the tangency, and the indifference curve, let us imagine it will look like that, right. It comes like this way, comes here, then it turns to be like this way. Okay. So, what do you find? The price line PL, this is the indifference curve, the consumer can be consumed at the point E1 or he can consume at the point E2. E1 point never it is going to be consumed because that does not satisfy any of the conditions, it just equals to each other. But mark at the point E2, what we find? The first order condition satisfied, that means at the point E1 also the first order condition satisfied, they are equal, that the slope of the price line and the slope of indifference curve, they are equal to each other. But at this point again this condition satisfied, and second point also be satisfied because they are the tangency. At the point tangency, this is not the point of the tangency, it is the point of the tangency. But alongside of the tangency, the second order condition does not satisfy it because it is concave to the origin. बर्तन मार्क करो इंडिफरेंस कर्व को टाइप रही कनकेव टू द ओरिजिन आम कंडीशन कौन ना इट शुड बी कन्वेक्स. So at the point E4 we find it is a stable equilibrium. When both the conditions satisfied, it is called as stable equilibrium. That means once the consumer obtaining that particular point of equilibrium, he never going to be change its equilibrium, because that is the best combination, that is the point where the consumer optimizing will go, that means here maximization of its satisfaction. But here it is called as the unstable equilibrium, unstable equilibrium. Why it is called unstable equilibrium? Because the condition is not satisfied, both the conditions not going to be satisfied. Okay. So, this is the consumer's equilibrium. While we are answering the question what is consumer's equilibrium and explain how it to be obtained, then you have to start with the term what is the equilibrium concept, where the point of the equilibrium to be takes place, what are the conditions of the equilibrium, and in order to explain the conditions of equilibrium, we have to entering into the what is indifference curve, what is the slope of the indifference curve, what is price line, what is the slope of the price line. Thereafter, we have to draw the equilibrium point for the stable one, write down the assumptions of it also be, assumptions like given money income, given preferences, given price of the both the commodities and so on. Then after that discuss all about what is stable equilibrium. Thereafter, you have to concluding with the unstable equilibrium. Okay. So, while you are handling the point of the consumer's equilibrium, you have to explaining the whole. Okay. Thank you for today. So, this is all about the consumer's equilibrium. Thank you.